So when I said I wanted to be an architect, my mother was deeply shocked. It's not a job for a girl. I mean, who ever's heard of a woman architect? I knew I wanted medical aid for the children. I knew it was important.
And you couldn't get onto the medical aid for them?
No, I wasn't a breadwinner.
A human being is extraordinary, a perfect machine that can achieve it all. But a South African, now we are exceptional. We have broken boundaries. We have fought for freedom. Just like you, Profmed is proudly South African and stands behind each professional striving to make a difference. Hey, what's happening? My name is Brent Lindeque. They call me the Good Things Guy. And today we're going to be visiting one of the first 14 female architects in South Africa. Her name's Sylvia Shapshak. She's 95 years old and one of the longest standing Profmed members.
I think I was always interested in houses because when we played on the beach, other children would make sand castles and I would make rooms out of the sand. I didn't really know as a child what architecture was. I just wanted to build houses. I remember houses more than people. My geometry book had all diagrams in it, which I made little houses on them, much to the teacher's annoyance. I was going to be an architect even then. And boy, was there opposition. In those days, girls did things like shorthand typing, nursing at a push, and teaching. Shorthand typing being the most common. So when I said I wanted to be an architect, my mother was deeply shocked. It's not a job for a girl. I mean, who ever's heard of a woman architect? But I was stubborn.
You were stubborn and brave, obviously, because you were going into this field that there were not a lot of women, and here you were taking this risk and sort of taking it on head on.
Well, fortunately, I'd had what they called a university pass at matric. I didn't do brilliantly because I think I discovered boys in matric. Anyway, I came to Pretoria University, much against my parents' wishes. In fact, I heard my mother telling somebody, well, we'll let the child do it for a year, and I'm quite sure she'll fail, and then she'll do something sensible like shorthand typing. We had a lecturer there who didn't approve of women there. He kept on saying to us, what are you women doing there taking a man's place?
Let me ask you then, during that time that you were at varsity, what motivated you to keep going?
I liked the job. I liked the work. I was interested in it.
Yeah.
I wanted to do further. I wanted to qualify. And I was determined to get a degree.
Yeah.
And I did it. I enjoyed it. It was tough. It was hard work. And you worked through the night quite often and things like that. And there was still distinction between male and female. I mean, I was working in an architect's office as I think a third-year student. There were two blokes and myself. We were all in the same class. We were all the same thing. They were getting £40 a month and I was getting 30. And when I complained, they said, you're lucky you've got a job.
Sylvia, tell me a little bit about this. What am I looking at here?
It was the first one I did on my own. Remember, I'd done lots of houses before for various architects and things like that, and for the council and all that sort of thing. But this was the first one I did on my own.
And this was all designed by hand? You didn't use any computers?
I had a big drawing board with there, and I did it with this adjustable set square, and I moved the T-square up and down.
A lot of time and effort went into this then.
Yeah, I did it in great detail. If I'd had to do it today, it would take me 2 days, but if in those days it must have taken me at least a week.
Wow, incredible.
Or 10 days.
So tell me, there's a story about a client and a roof that I heard earlier on.
Well, one of my clients And he was not an easy man. And the house was very difficult because he wanted to join a garage, which was a one level and the house was another. And he wanted the same roof. And it was a terribly complicated roof to get it right. And I got a couple of fellow architects, male ones, mark you, to check my roof working. He phoned me up one day and he said, "The builder says a woman architect doesn't know what doing. There's a much easier way of doing the roof." So I had enough sense to write him a letter, a registered letter saying, if the roof wasn't done to my specification, I'm not responsible. A few months later, the phone rings at 5 in the morning. "What's the trouble?" "The roof's leaking." "Why?" I said, "'Cause it's raining."
Did he try to hold that responsibility on you?
Yeah, well, I'd written him a letter of response, there was nothing he could do. I wasn't an artistic architect. I was more of a practical architect. And one client, and he looked at me and he said, "Thank you, Sylvia, you've made my house a home." I think it was lovely of him. It was my graduation, and I'm pretty sure they only turned up because my brother graduated the same day.
So I need to focus on this because it's such an incredible accolade. You were the 14th female architect in South Africa, focusing on your career. What are you most proud of?
The fact that I ran a very successful practice.
And how was it balancing looking after kids and working at the same time?
I never thought it was balancing, it was just done.
Just the way it was done.
You did it. So you had children, so you worked, children, that was it. Although I did a lot of work at night when they were asleep. But they survived.
They survived, and they're good for
I wasn't a very good cook, according to my son, but I made very nice birthday cakes.
Tell me about all those years ago. What was it like applying for medical aid, or were medical aids around?
Medical aid was a snag. I applied to my institute's medical aid and I was turned down.
For what reason?
Because I was a woman.
Because you were a woman.
I knew I wanted medical aid for the children. I knew it was important.
And you couldn't get onto the medical aid for them?
No, I wasn't a breadwinner. You explained that to me.
And then what did you do? What was the next step? How did you go about finding medical aid that would take a woman who was a breadwinner?
By that time, I had the 5th child, Kathy, and my doctor was checking her over and he said, she'd have a medical aid. So I told him the story. She said, "Why don't you try Profmed, which I belong to?" So I applied to them. I joined in 1970, that I can tell you. And they accepted me as a breadwinner and as a woman architect. I was very grateful. They accepted me as a professional.
As a professional. And so much so that I've heard that your medical aid number is like 4 numbers.
Yes, it is.
Compared to everybody else now who's got sort of a lot of numbers on their medical aid. Well, Sylvia, I would love to come back in 5 years' time and interview you on your 100th birthday. That would be my absolute honor. What is your message to South Africa for where we are right now?
Follow your star.
Follow your star.
Do what you want and get things right. Do the right thing and get it right.
And that was Sylvia's incredible story. Not just inspirational for professionals, but for South Africa at large. Thank you for joining us on the We Are South African series. We hope you've enjoyed it and loved all these incredible stories.